to SIEL 2023. My name is Enrique Prieto-Rios. I'm professor here, and jointly with Professor Jose Manuel Alvarez, we're part of the two universities, Externado University and Rosario University, that are happy to welcome you and host you for this SIEL 2023 conference. So today we are 8 minutes late, unfortunately, so we apologize for that. However, we have a kind of traffic jam at the registration desk, but hopefully everyone will be inside very soon. So to begin this conference, we have a wonderful panel. We have Professor Peter van der Bossche, which all of you know, President of SIEL, an authority in terms of trade law, investment law. We have Professor Hernando Parra, he's the President at Universidad, Externado, Colombia. And finally, Professor Laura García, the Dean of the Law School here at Universidad Rosario. So we will start this panel with a few welcoming words, and then after we will have the first roundtable from 9:45 to 11. We kindly ask you to stick to the times, if possible, because we have people online, so that's, and they're from different parts of the world. If you have any questions, there are staff from both universities that are around who will be kindly guiding you and who will answer any questions. We will have our break from 11 to 11:30. We'll be here. And then for the lunch and the afternoon sessions, we will change venue. But again, we'll have people guiding you to the other venue that's just 200 meters away from here. Again, if you have any question, I'm also available to answer, as well as Jose Manuel Alvarez. So welcome once again, and I'm sure the 3 next days will be a fantastic opportunity to reflect on trade, investment, environment, and everything related to international economic law. Without any further ado, I would like to give the floor to Professor Peter van der Bossche. So Professor Peter, I don't know if you prefer to be there or here. Thank you.
It's so good to be here. It's so good to see you all in person, in life. When we started planning for this conference, there were 2 things that were in our mind. First of all, this is the 8th global conference of our society. And we've been, in the past, we've been in Europe, in North America, in Africa, and in Asia. But we had not been in South America yet. So it was important for us to be here. Especially because South America is a continent that has so many scholars, officials, and private practitioners that have in the past and continue now to make a major contribution to a rules-based international economic order. So I'm very happy that this 8th conference is organized in Bogota. Another thing that we had in mind, and that was a very important objective of us, is that the conference would be an on-site event, an opportunity for all of us to meet again in person after the dark days of COVID. And that's another reason why I'm so happy that we were able to pull this off. However, organizing a global conference like this in post-pandemic days is by no means an easy thing, and especially not for the participants. There are quite a number of people, quite a number of our friends and our colleagues that for a variety of reasons could not join us in person. And we share in their disappointment. And that's especially the case for those that were invited as speakers and in the end couldn't make it, and therefore could not act as speakers at this conference. In order to preserve this conference as an on-site event, we have only in very exceptional hardship cases allowed people to participate as speakers in some of the panels. Now, we have 3 days ahead of us. 3 days with 3 keynote speakers, with 4 roundtable discussions, and no less than 25 panel sessions, during which we will discuss and reflect on the present and the future of global economic governance. I don't know about you, but I sometimes wonder how historians, or perhaps more relevant, our great-great-grandchildren in 100 years of now will look upon the 2020s, will look upon our generation. Will they look upon us as the generation that drifted hopelessly into the abyss? Or will they consider us the generation that turned the tide? Now, as international economic lawyers, there is, we hate to admit that, but we can perhaps, to the enormous problems and challenges that are facing us today, as international economic lawyers, we can perhaps not make as much as a contribution in resolving these problems as some other professions. And we hate to say here, perhaps economists. But we do have our responsibility. We do have our responsibility to try to turn the tide. SIEL has been very fortunate when we started planning for this conference to find 2 Colombian universities willing to be our academic partners and conference host. Organizing a global conference on this scale is never an easy task. But SIEL has been very, very fortunate, very happy, and could not have wished for better academic partners than the Universidad Externado, the Colombia, and the Universidad del Rosario. And I thank them profoundly for their hospitality. Now, as I already said, we have 3 days ahead of us of discussions, debates, disagreements. Let me express the hope that we will that we will ask each other the hard questions regarding the future of international economic governance, and that we will come up with some brave and bold answers to at least some of these questions. And with these words, I declare the 8th Global Conference of our society open.
Thank you, Professor Van der Bossche, for those wonderful words. Now, I kindly ask you, Professor Parra, the President of Universidad Externado, to come here and join us. Thank you.
To all attendees, good morning. As the President of University Externado de Colombia, co-host and organizing member of this 8th International Conference in cooperation with Universidad del Rosario and the Society of International Economic Law, I extend a warm welcome to each of every one of you to our country on the occasion of this special event. In particular, I extend a cordial greeting to Professor Laura Victoria García Matamoros, Dean of the Faculty of Jurisprudence at Universidad del Rosario, who, on behalf of José Alejandro Cheine García, President of this institution, warmly welcomes us to their campus. I also extend special greetings to Elaine Sanchez, head of the diplomatic mission of Embassy of Jamaica in Colombia, and the entire diplomatic corps. To Jacqueline Castro, head the diplomatic mission of the Embassy of Guatemala in Colombia, as well to Juan Andrés Valladares Calderón, commercial head of the same diplomatic mission. To Professor Pieter Van der Bossche, President of the Society of International Economic Law. To Professor Isabel Vandemek and Marcus Wagner, officers of the Society of International Economic Law. To Enrique Prieto-Rios, professor of this university. To José Manuel Álvarez Zárate, director of the Department of Economic Law at Universidad Externado de Colombia, as well as the other organizers of this important event, diplomatic corps, academics, and professionals from around the world who are joining us today. For Universidad del Rosario and Universidad Externado de Colombia, active members of the Latin American academic community, is a real source of pride to be part of this milestone in the history of the Society of International Economic Law. Today, for the first time, Colombia and Latin America become the gathering point for one of the most reputable academic organizations in the world, composed and renewed professors and jurists dedicated to the study of international economic law and its impact on various dimensions of the society. The 8th edition, which brings us together this time, which will take place over 3 days, aims to analyze the changes and developments occurring in the international economic within the context of geopolitical confrontations and geo-economic fragmentation. Indeed, the society we currently inhabit is interconnected and interdependent, and events and developments that unfold in one corner of the planet can have powerful repercussions in distant locations thousands of kilometers away. In this sense, there are multiple and varied events and situations that affect trade relations, as well as the exchange of resources, supplies, and raw materials in the globalized context. Different circumstances, such as the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia, the logistical transportation challenges left by the COVID-19 pandemic, the still unknown effects of the new technologies on means of productions, e-commerce and new digital platforms for the acquisition of goods and services, political and social tensions arising from the diverse interests, macroeconomic governance policies regarding competitions and tariffs, dispute settlement system at bilateral and multilateral and regional levels, as well as international investment agreements in the context of the constant struggles between larger and small actors, all have an impact on global trade and all in the international economic order between states and international organizations, and as well as the normative sources to amend and regulate them. Furthermore, an important concern arises around all these factors. How should academic approach research and teach international economic law to current generation of professionals in this challenging context? Each of these questions will be subject to discussion and reflection by various experts who throughout these extensive academic sessions will present valuable analysis, contributions, and solutions to these issues that arise. Finally, I will take the opportunity to thank the Society of International Economic Law, led by its president, Professor Peter van der Bossche, for selecting Bogotá as the venue for this important event, giving the relevance not only to Rosario and Externado universities, but also to Latin American region as a whole. I also thank Universidad del Rosario for their cooperation and the consolidation of this event, as well as each of the sponsors for their support. I offer my best wishes, hoping that this fruitful and enriching academic space will be true success for our regions and the international community also. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Professor Parra. So we conclude this panel with the words of Professor Laura García Matamoros, Dean of the School of Law here at Universidad Rosario. So Dean, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. Buenos días a todos y a todas. On behalf of Universidad Rosario, Universidad Externado, and SIEL, we welcome you to this conference. I want to express my gratitude to Professor Peter van den Bossche, Isabel Van Dam, Marcus Wagner, Jose Manuel Alvarez, and Enrique Prieto-Rios for all your efforts in putting together this conference. I would like to express to Mr. Hernando Parra Nieto, President of Universidad Externado, my special gratitude for joining efforts to bring this important academic event to Colombia. In the following minutes, I will share some reflections in Spanish, our beauty language, about the relevance of this conference in Latinoamérica. En la actualidad, el mundo enfrenta varios retos, un periodo de pandemia que tuvo un gran impacto en las cadenas de suministro y en las economías globales. La invasión de Rusia a Ucrania, como bien lo mencionaba el rector, que ha tenido una incidencia negativa en el comercio mundial, ha generado unas tasas de inflación creciente y ha contribuido al claro deterioro de las condiciones ambientales de nuestro planeta. Es necesario reconocer que estos retos, comunes a todos los países, han tenido un mayor impacto en Latinoamérica. Para el 2020, el Producto Interno Bruto de la región se contrajo el 7%. El sector informal representa el 50% de los trabajadores activos en la región, y es evidente que la pandemia del COVID-19, como también se mencionaba, generó desempleo y precarización de las condiciones laborales, con una especial incidencia en la población de las mujeres. En este contexto, la región requiere que académicos y practicantes se encuentren en espacios de reflexión, como lo es esta conferencia organizada en el marco de SIEL, para pensar en alternativas desde el derecho internacional, económico, que busquen salidas a la difícil situación económica que experimenta el mundo, pero especialmente alternativas para los países en vías de desarrollo, que como lo señala Uprenda Baxi, son las más afectadas por las situaciones adversas en el contexto de un sistema capitalista desigual y desorganizado. Como lo mencionaba el profesor Van den Bossche, este es un escenario de privilegio para discusiones académicas, para la construcción de encuentros, para la discusión también, como lo mencionaba él, de desencuentros, de discusiones, de construcciones conjuntas en torno a problemas que nos aquejan a todos. Para la Universidad del Rosario, para la Universidad Externado de Colombia, para la comunidad académica colombiana y latinoamericana, este es un espacio excepcional. Creo que en medio de discusiones que encierran temas políticos, temas económicos y temas sociales, el escenario académico es el mejor, es el escenario por excelencia para que estas discusiones se den, para que todos contribuyamos a la construcción de unos mejores estados, de unas mejores regiones, pero creo que finalmente lo que nos convoca a todos y a todas en este escenario es la evidencia de que necesitamos construir un mejor mundo, porque creo que la evidencia demuestra que no estamos por un buen camino, y creo que los que hemos tenido el privilegio de formarnos, de crecer en el mundo de la academia y de estar en estas discusiones, no solo tenemos que tener ese privilegio, sino tenemos que tener el deber moral y social de trabajar por ello. Mil gracias de nuevo a todos y a todas.
Thank you very much. And to conclude this panel, once again, we'd like to thank all the participants, members of embassies that are joining us, and also special thanks to all the sponsors that allows this conference to happen. So thank you very much. I kindly ask you to join the floor, and then without any further ado, we're a bit behind schedule, so we're starting with the first round table discussion. So I will call members of the first round table to come here to the front. Thank you very much.